All right, welcome back to Harvest Moon Farm. My name is Mickey, and tonight we are going to be making some melt-in-your-mouth chicken for dinner, along with some fried mashed potato cakes. And then I just made a simple cucumber, onion, and tomato salad. I chopped that up earlier. I put some Italian dressing on it and stirred it up, added a little salt and pepper, and then I just put it in the refrigerator so that it will be nice and cold and the flavors will all be combined when we get ready to eat. So I've got my oven preheating to 375. And so this is a very simple recipe. We're just gonna mix up this mayonnaise based topping that we're gonna spread on top of our chicken, and then we're just gonna, it's a fly in my kitchen, and then we are just going to bake it in the oven. So I'm not really gonna measure this, I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it. We need about a cup of either mayonnaise or Greek yogurt. The only yogurt I have is flavored. It's vanilla, but I don't know that that would be the best thing to go on chicken. So I'm going to use mayonnaise. We need a half a cup of grated Parmesan. This is some of the Parmesan that I freeze dried and put through the blender. That's probably about a half a cup or maybe a little more. We want a tablespoon of dry minced onion, and I'm just going to pour some of this out. Teaspoon of garlic powder. A teaspoon of dried parsley. Oops. And a half a teaspoon each of salt and pepper. And one thing the recipe does say is to just make sure you go easy on your salt, because your cheese is already kind of salty, and so you don't want to have it too salty. Oh, whoops. I forgot to put my little spoon back in my salt. Okay, so now all we're gonna do is just stir this all up. I think I might put a little more parsley in there, primarily for the color. Whoa, that was a lot. Maybe it was too much. That's okay, it'll be fine. Oh, it looks really pretty. All right. So I've got a baking dish. And I'm just going to spray the bottom of this with vegetable spray, just so the chicken doesn't stick. And then I've got my chicken breasts here, all thawed. And I kind of cut the fat off of maybe, I thought I did. Cut the fat off of these before I put them in the freezer. I can still see some. And these are pretty big breast pieces. So I'm gonna cut this smaller end off, and then I'm going to, oh gosh, I guess I didn't get the fat off this one. And then I'm going to cut this the fatter end, in half lengthwise, so that these pieces are more closely the same thickness. this one is probably fine. And I'm gonna call this one good as well. All right, so now all we're gonna do is just spread this mixture over the top of our pieces of chicken. And this recipe called for 4 chicken breasts. I had 3, so you can adjust the amount that you make for the number of pieces of chicken that you have, or for how thick you like this coating. Right. Okay, and my oven is hot. So now we just want to cook this for about 35 to 45 minutes or until our chicken is done. So that's going to kind of depend on how thick of pieces that you have. So let me bring this in so you can see what it looks like. So here is how those chicken pieces look with the coating on the top. I'm gonna go ahead and stick those in my oven, and I'm gonna set the timer for 35 minutes, and then we'll check it at that 35-minute mark and make sure our chicken's done. Okay, so now our mashed potato cakes are not gonna take very long to cook, but I am gonna go ahead and get everything ready for them. The instructions they start out a little strangely. All right. So I just had a package of frozen mashed potatoes that were left over from Thanksgiving. They've been in my freezer. And this recipe calls for 2 cups, and this is about what I froze in this little bag. So I'm gonna get that in my bowl. So to our potatoes, we want to add 1 egg, a teaspoon of onion juice, 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs, and then 2 to 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil or butter, and that's what we're gonna fry these in. So I'm actually going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to these. I'm gonna go easy on the salt because I know that these were already salted from Thanksgiving. I wanna give these just a little extra flavor. I'm actually also going to add to these, I'm going to chop up some onion. I don't have any green onion, unfortunately. That would be really good. And I'm going to put a little bit of, let me see here. I think I'm going to put some bacon bits and some cheese in here because I want mine to be cheesy. So I do have a piece of onion that I've been working off of for other recipes over the last couple of days. So instead of using onion juice, I'm actually just going to use a little bit of onion. Just a little bit. And I'm just going to mince this with my knife. Oh, that's You don't want onion. It'll make you sick. It smells good though, doesn't it? All right, maybe a little more. And then I'm just gonna put the rest of this in my compost. I'm gonna go ahead and mince up this other piece that I cut. Dump that in there. All right, so we need 1 egg. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this egg and onion and salt and pepper in here. Then I'm going to add some bacon bits. Stir that in. Let's see. So these will really be more like loaded mashed potato cakes. And then I'm going to add some cheese, and then I'll put my breadcrumbs in last. So I just have some shredded, make sure, yeah, this is just white cheddar. I'm going to put about a cup or so in. Kind of sticking together. I'm going to stir that up and see how it looks. And it's kind of hard to tell, since I'm using white cheddar, how much cheese is actually mixed in there. That kind of all is the same color now, so let me stir this in. All right, so there's what that looks like. So you can see that the cheese is the same color as the potatoes, but I think that is probably plenty of cheese. I might add a little bit of parsley, really for color, because I don't have green onions, and this will kind of give it that color. I could probably also add chives, which I wish I would have thought of that before I put the parsley in there, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna put this cheese back in my fridge. Here's my breadcrumbs. This is, part of it is store-bought that I had left over, and some of it is some that I made. So now the recipe says to just start with 1 tablespoon, because you want to make sure that you're getting this, you know, getting it to the appropriate thickness to make your potato cakes. And I can see already that that is not enough, but you don't want to add too much, because then they'll be dry. But you want enough that it's going to help hold your potato patty together. Let's see. That's still a little wet. So it's holding, but also these have been thawing, so the potato itself is pretty wet. So I think I'm going to have to add more breadcrumbs to get my mixture to the consistency that I need. I've also, most recipes that I have seen for potato cakes use flour. So I was curious, and I've done those before, but I was curious to try this one to see, oh, this looks much better, to see if I like this better than using the flour. Okay, so now if I get my little ball here, see, that's going to hold much better. right, so I don't want to start these too early, so I'm just going to put the towel over them. And I will start cooking them when the chicken has about 10 minutes left. And so I'll be back when we're ready to start frying them up. The timer went off and it is not quite done. So I'm going to set it for another 10 minutes and we're going to start working on our potato cakes. All right, so I am going to use some oil. As much as I like butter, it sometimes will burn easier. So I'm going to use some oil instead. So I'm heating up my pan right now. And I'm actually going to use my cookie scoop, my large cookie scoop, to scoop out balls of the mashed potato mixture. I really need to get my husband to help me level up my stove because you can tell that it's not level because everything runs towards this other corner. Or not, it's not a corner, I guess. Since the pan is round, I don't have any corners. But I am going to use my fork then and kind of smash these down. And I might need a little more oil. Alright, and I just had this idea, so I'm going to try. I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm going to take my mashed potato balls. I put some breadcrumbs in a bowl, and I'm going to roll these balls of potatoes around in there. And we'll see how these fry up. We want to let these fry until they are nice golden brown on the bottoms. And this one looks really nice. And if I don't want to splash grease on myself when I turn these over, smash those down a little more and let that bottom side fry up. I'm going to put a layer of paper towel down on this plate just to kind of help soak up the extra oil from frying them. And this is a great way to use up leftover mashed potatoes. We usually have leftovers, well, I shouldn't say usually, we occasionally have leftovers. I try to make enough that we have leftovers because I love the leftover potatoes. But you can just package them up however makes sense to you and put them in the freezer like this, and then you've got them to use whenever you would like. And I do still have I know I still have some in my freezer, maybe 1 or 2 bags of potatoes, of mashed potatoes. I'm not sure how many. So we can definitely make these again. We can make them a couple times this summer using just what's left over. And then when we get to the holidays this fall, we can make sure that we have enough to have some in the freezer as well. So there's our timer going off for our chicken. So let me get these potato, oh, too hot. Let me get these potato patties flipped over. Oh goodness. I might have to eat this back. I'm gonna add a little more oil in here to kind of cool down that oil. All right, and our timer just went off on our chicken, so let's give it a look. Oh goodness, that looks yummy. So here is what that chicken looks like. So I'm just gonna set this in here, turn our oven off while I finish frying up these potato cakes. All right, so this, I think this might have been a little more than 2 cups of potatoes. That might have been why I needed to add more breading too. But that is gonna make 8, 12, 16, that's gonna make 17 patties, which is plenty for the 3 of us. My daughter's here, so she is going to stay and have dinner with us. All right, so our chicken's done. We've got our last batch of potato cakes to put in the pan. My husband is home from work, and he just moved our meat chickens and he's given everybody water. I fed everybody earlier and collected our eggs. And we have a hen that's really broody, but I took them some vegetable scraps earlier and she ran out to eat the scraps. So I took the eggs while she was eating veggie scraps. I have been just picking her up and taking her out of the nesting box and getting the eggs, but when I went out there yesterday and I went to move her, she got very upset and she kind of pecked at me. So I just left her. We don't need any more baby chicks, but if that's what it takes to break her broodiness, then it's okay. The first day that I moved her and took the eggs, and I put her down, and so she went out to eat with the rest of the chickens. And when I came back to put everything away, she was up on the roosting bar over near their nesting boxes, just having a fit, squawking because her eggs were gone. So I felt kind of bad, but we don't need any more babies. Okay, so I have this yogurt that has a little bit of vanilla in it, but it's not a strong vanilla flavor, so I don't think it's going to affect what I'm going to do here. With my lid. Oh, here we go. So I'm going to take some of this yogurt and I'm going to add a little bit of chives and salt and pepper, and we are going to use this as a dip for our potato cakes. And again, I'm going to go very easy on the salt, just a little sprinkle, because this little spoon doesn't look like much, but it is easy to go overboard. I have done it many times, sadly. All right, we just need a little sprinkle of pepper. I'm just going to stir this up, and anybody who wants it can spoon it out on their plate. Dip. Let me just give this a little taste. Okay, it does have a little more vanilla than I thought, but I think it'll be fine. I'm going to get a little more pepper in there. And a little more salt, because that really was not very much. Oh, I just splashed it on me. Oh, that's good. Okay, so here's our plate of potato cakes. I'm gonna give everything a try before we eat dinner. And I think I either needed a little more of the topping on the chicken, or I needed to put them in a container, in a dish where they were smashed together so that the topping didn't kind of run off. But that will be okay. It's still gonna taste good. We'll just scoop it up. So let's try this. Oh, that's really good. Get one of our potato cakes. I'm gonna get a little of our dressing for the potatoes. Ooh, that's really good. Oh yeah, let me try that again. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and dish up dinner for everybody. We do have our salad here as well. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna give this a stir. This is just cucumber, tomato, onion, some mozzarella cheese chunks, and some Italian dressing. So everybody can get what they want of that. And so we will be back. I have another chicken dish that I want to make in a couple of days. I'm going to make some chicken Florentine, and I had a potato recipe I think that I was going to make with it, but I can't think what it was now. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and eat this, and we will be back. Okay, so I had forgotten, I brought up some of these apple hand pies that I made last fall. So I put 4 of them out because my daughter's weird and she doesn't like apple pie. And so I have put an egg wash on there, and I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit of sugar over the top of them. I've got my oven preheated to 350. And then we're going to cook these probably about 15 or 20 minutes, and then I'm going to check them. I'm not sure how long these are actually going to take, but my oven is preheated, so I'm going to go ahead and get these in. All right, so our hand pies are done. They look amazing. So that leaves 2 each for Joe and I, since Hannah is not going to eat one. I'll let these cool just a little bit. We have some of our salad left. We have some of our potato cakes left. We can use our potato cakes maybe for breakfast tomorrow, or add them to our dinner tomorrow. I don't know. But we are going to enjoy these pies. And like I said, we will be back when I'm ready to do the chicken Florentine and other vegetables.